Enjoy your meeting.
Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar with businessadvising.org. My name is Eli Raber. I'm the program manager here. We are very lucky today. We have Christina Barea, one of our advisors, who's going to lead us in a conversation about the 4 pillars of brand marketing. And we're very excited to have Christina here. Before we jump into the content, just a few of the usual housekeeping items. We are recording this. Just so you know, we're going to post it online. Everyone can watch it later. I have the audience muted at this point. If you do have questions at any point throughout the conversation, in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen is a chat window. Feel free to ask questions. Christina's nice enough to stick around for a little bit after the presentation to lead us through a Q&A. So anytime you have a question, put it there, and I'll make sure that it gets asked. A little bit about us. We're a nonprofit small business accelerator that matches business owners with volunteer advisors, just like Christina, to work on a business's specific pain points and needs. We also have a small business loan program here for California-based businesses that have often been turned down by traditional lenders. And it's a great free resource for small businesses around the country. So a little bit about our speaker today. Christina is a branding advisor specializing in launching small businesses. Her areas of expertise include apparel, textile, service sector, nonprofit organizations. She's worked in a plethora of high-profile brands in Europe as well as the U.S. and thrives on seeing small businesses evolve and succeed. She has received her training in Milan, Italy as a luxury brand manager, which provides really an artistic wrapper for her solid business acumen. She has been, on a personal note, an advisor with us for some time now and really understands the needs of our business owners. I think she's worked with 4 businesses at this point, and not only is she an expert in developing a company's brand, but she's really also an expert in working with the small businesses within our network and really understands the needs. So I think this call is really going to be really useful for everyone in our network. I'm excited to get going. So without further ado, Christina, I'm going to load your presentation and turn things over to you.
Thank you, Ellie. Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for taking time to be with us this morning. I know how valuable your time is, so I'm really grateful for your presence this morning. It's truly been a pleasure to be a part of businessadvising.org, and I have thoroughly enjoyed assisting Ellie in the vision of helping small businesses become more successful. What businessadvising.org is doing is magnificent, and it's just a real pleasure to be able to see it be successful and continue to grow, and anything that I can do to be a part of it, of course, makes me very happy as well.
Wonderful. Christina, thank you for that. Can I get you to take control of the meeting? That way we can all see you.
Yes.
There we go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Okay, so now you can see me as well as see the slides that are on the screen. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Fantastic. So the topic of today is how to make sure that your brand is successful. So the role that I have with businessadvising.org is talking about branding and assisting small or launching brands become successful. So the content that we're going to discuss today is really a reflection of some of the pitfalls that I've discovered with working with some of the companies. It seems like there are some areas that are consistently overlooked, and I understand that when you're starting a new brand that it's easy to overlook these things, but they're very critical to building a successful brand. So let's just go to the next slide for a minute and talk about what branding is in terms of marketing. So what I've discovered over the years is that everybody has a different definition of what branding means and what goes into marketing. So without really spending a lot of time, and I'm sure we could spend a very long time discussing what is branding and what is marketing, I just would like to share with you what my definition of branding is. So my definition of marketing is all of the activities that you engage in as a business to share the message of what your business is about to the outside world. So that would include a wide variety of activities and methods. Within that action or that activity of marketing and sharing the message of your brand is the actual brand itself. So a brand is the name and the image, and in many cases what I like to call the persona of the activities that you're doing. Successful brands have certain things in common that define them as a successful brand. So some of those things are the level of profits that they're enjoying. So the more profit you're making, the more sales that you're having means generally your brand is doing fairly well. It's well received by the marketplace. You can also measure a successful brand by the number of customers that you have. The more customers, the more market penetration, the more sales you have, the more successful your brand. Brand recognition, which is who recognizes your brand. When you say the name of the brand or you show the logo, who actually recognizes what the brand is and what it's about. Customer loyalty is another signal of a successful brand, and that is, of course, how many repeat consumers or customers come back to purchase again. So I'm sure that we could look at some other factors that signal a successful brand, but these are four very big ones that I think would be very useful to measure the success of your brand. And in that conversation, with social media and, digital marketing, there are many different ways that people now have metrics to measure how successful their brand is. So it's now becoming easier to actually measure the results of your efforts in branding and marketing. However, there's one big factor that makes a big difference as to what is the measure of a successful brand. So people would say, well, of course, the more money that you're making, the more successful it is. But let me bring you onto this next slide and talk to you about how important actually time is in the success of your brand. So you're probably understanding very intuitively, okay, I understand. The more time that passes, the more successful. If my brand is still being successful, sales are still being generated, I still have a wide customer base, then my brand is successful. So obviously we want to look at the measures of brand success and how they measure over time. So some of the most successful brands have actually withstood the time test of centuries. I was doing a little bit of research before this presentation, and I found some of the oldest brands that still exist today actually predate the United States. They actually come from Japan. Some brands like Kikkoman have been around for centuries. Now that's a brand that is truly lasting the test of time. Within the United States, one of my favorite stories, because I come from apparel, is actually Levi's. Levi's has been around since, I want to say, the 1800s, and it's a brand that has withstood the test of time. Within any product, what you're looking at here is the product life cycle. So on the left-hand side, we have a little sprout. This is where many of the brands in businessadvising.org start out, as little sproutlings. A seed has been planted, activities have started, there's a little bit of funding, product is being made, or services are being offered, and so we're at the beginning stages. As the brand enjoys a little bit of success, it continues to grow and becomes a young tree, which is the second one. So we have our growth phase. If everything goes well, and we certainly hope it does, we get to the maturity phase of that particular brand, product, or service, and we have a full-grown tree with lots of branches and leaves, great market penetration, lots of customers, lots of income, brand recognition, etc. The challenge for any brand is to make it past that maturity the maturity stage and survive the test of time. On the right-hand side, what you have is a dead tree, or a tree that doesn't have any leaves on it anymore. And we call that the declining stage of a brand, product, or service. The challenge for many people is to understand what activities are necessary to avoid getting into the declining stage. So at some point, many people are faced with rebranding, refreshing their product, redefining themselves. or searching for other ways to stay relevant in the marketplace. Unfortunately, and I put this slide at the beginning because I find that one of the biggest factors that leads a brand to reaching the declining stage faster is actually not having a marketing plan in place. So let's go to the next slide. Here we have the 4 pillars of branding, of building a successful brand. In my opinion, vision and mission statements, brand definition, a marketing plan, and then the consistency of them are the 4 pillars of a successful brand. In and of themselves individually, it may seem like they're not particularly relevant, important, or at the beginning when you're starting a new company and there's maybe only 1 or 2 people. There's so many decisions to be made on a daily basis. Who's the supplier? Where am I going to put my product into? What's the price point I'm looking at? Who has time for a vision or a mission statement? But my opinion, again, is that they are so fundamentally important that without them, it's like trying to navigate the world without a compass and without a map. So let's look at them individually. Here you are with your new company, and you have this really awesome logo at the top and a catchy brand name, so I'll let you fill in the blanks. And then what we have here is a bidirectional flowchart on how the vision and mission statement fit in between your product and the logo and the brand name that you have. So the brand name and the logo are the visual and verbal representation of the vision and mission of the company. So, for example, if you have a company that's dedicated to making T-shirts, you wouldn't want to call it Cars, Etc. Maybe you want to call it T-shirt Emporium or T-shirt World, something like that, or Creative Tees, something that catches the essence of your business in the name so that when people see the name, it helps them to immediately connect with what the purpose of that company is or what that brand is dedicated to doing. The logo is equally as important. So the style, the colors, and the shape of the logo all speak to our subliminal symbols that are embedded into our subconscious. So we choose logos, colors, and shapes that are pleasing or that support the overall image that we want the customer to have in their mind when they think of our company or our brand. However, like I said, the pitfall that sometimes we fall into is not dedicating enough time to figuring out exactly where we're going with our company and why we're doing what we're doing. Those 2 objectives are satisfied within the vision statement and the mission statement. So, like I said, I've really enjoyed working with businessadvising.org, but I also have found fairly consistently that when I start talking with new brands that are launching, I ask them, well, where's your vision and mission statement? And the answer is, I actually don't have one. So what we do at the beginning, our very first step, is to satisfy this. Because if we don't know why we're in business and we don't know where we're going with the business, then what happens when we get overwhelmed with the daily activities of all the decisions that have to be made and all of the questions that come our way? The vision statement and mission statement are the 2 very most important anchors that help give us direction as to where we're going and what we're doing and why. From there, we flow downward towards the product, service, and company, and that will then show all of the products that you might have under one particular brand that match the objectives, the vision, and mission of the brand. So you can have more than one. So on the creative phase at the beginning, when we're starting with a new brand, we go from top to bottom. We go from vision statement, big picture of what I want to do. With a T-shirt, maybe it's I want to color the word. I want everybody to have ability to express themselves without any boundaries. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to create these fantastic T-shirts so that everybody has the opportunity to use it as a blank canvas. Once we start making the T-shirts, then we have to use the mission and vision statement to measure our success over time. So 2 years from now, somebody comes in and says, hey, we have this new kind of T-shirt, and it's, you can, well, let's see, what are some of the new T-shirts that are out there? They have like a silver lining on them for antibacterial, or we have a new wearable technology where you can measure your heart rate and see if you're, within a normal measure. So when you have this opportunity to make new decisions in the direction of your company, you want to measure those back with your vision and mission statement and find out if that really supports the original vision of the company, of why you went into business in the first place. So if my vision is to allow the world to express themselves creatively without boundaries, then I ask myself the question, does a wearable technology support that vision? Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe you need to make some small modifications to the actual delivering of that product or the way that you put it into context with the customer in order for it to fit in with your brand. These are questions that we look at as we go through the growing phase. So I hope that makes sense. Let's look at the next slide. So the vision and mission statements serve to provide a purpose and direction to all the activities of the brand. They answer the why of the brand and are used as benchmarks for the brand. The next important thing is the brand definition, and this one takes a whole lot more time. In the brand definition, the question is, who am I? Who am I as a brand? For this one, I like to put myself actually in the seat and pretend that if the brand was a person, what do I look like? What color hair do I have? What color eyes do I have? What color skin do I have? How tall am I? What's my weight? What kind of things do I like? What are my values? What are my morals? What are my likes and my dislikes? Everything that would define me as a person if I was a brand. So we define the brand definition is critical in identifying the things that the brand, the activities that the brand will participate in that support the vision and mission statement. So we typically will go through a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this will help to define what the brand is. I encourage new companies to define the brand with as much definition as possible. So within this context, what we also look at are what activities are available in the marketplace that this particular brand wants to engage in, and which activities in the marketplace this brand does not want to engage in. So, for example, let's go back to our t-shirt company. So in my brand definition, I would say we want to help the world express itself, its creativity without boundaries. So one question that I might look at is, does this brand allow its customers, is it engaging in perhaps questionable ethics that people want to express? Things that might be controversial to other people. I don't know. So, it might say, well, we want to encourage creativity, but within certain boundaries. So we won't spread hate. We won't spread things that are considered negative. So another way of looking at it is, let's say, if it's a food product, then perhaps this particular brand doesn't purchase certain ingredients that might be questionable. Maybe it takes a stance on genetically modified ingredients. Maybe it wants to be 100% organic. So again, we go back to defining the brand with as much detail as possible. So the reason for this, again, is to clearly define who the brand is, where it's going, why it's doing the things that it's doing. But it also helps the business owner at certain points, like let's pretend it's 2 years down the line. At that point, the business owner is faced with some critical decisions in terms of the direction of the brand. If there's only one person who has all of this information in their head, then that person is the pivot point on which all decisions are made. If you have brand definition, you have it put down on paper, then you're able to bring in other people into the decision-making process who have as much information as the original creator of the brand, who can provide valuable input to that decision-making process. That leads us into the next slide, which talks about the marketing plan. The marketing plan is as critical as the business plan for any business. And so many people don't spend time creating a marketing plan. Again, as a marketing expert, I really think that you should spend as much time with the marketing plan as you do with your business plan. It's that important. For several reasons. For one, when you're going to somebody to talk about, let's say, your next advertising opportunity, somebody comes in and says, I'd love to create a new campaign for you. And they will ask you questions like, well, who's your target customer? Who's your demographic? How much do you want to spend on digital media? How much do you want to spend on traditional? And if you don't have a marketing plan, you're just going to sit there and try to go through your brain and try to come up with a budget, or actually speak to the person and say, I don't know, maybe make me an offer and then we'll see what we can do. You're much more empowered if you have a marketing plan in which you put some thought and effort into. You say, this is my brand, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing, and we've already figured out some of the basic information that we need in order to develop a strong campaign that will bring in the sales and the customers that we're looking for. The marketing plan includes not only an executive summary, which includes the brand definition, but it also includes quantifiable goals for that particular business. So it can be increase sales by 25%, or it can be reach a goal of $3.5 million for this year. It can be a variety of different things. It can include more than one goal. But your marketing plan should include specific, tangible, measurable goals that you can strive towards, so that at the end of the year you have something to go back and look at and measure the success of your particular activities in business and marketing that year. A marketing plan can and should include all of the activities that the brand will engage in during a calendar year or a fiscal year to achieve those goals. So it can include, again, advertising, and that's why I have the 4 Ps there on the side. We'll look at, what defines the product, price point, etc. We'll look at the place that it's being distributed. So is it online? Is there a storefront, etc.? And all of the promotional activities that we'll have throughout the year to encourage sales of the product or service. A good marketing plan should also include a marketing calendar. So that means that we're paying attention to the cycles of the year. Is there a particular campaign that's going out, let's say for Christmas, which is a big shopping season? Or is there something going out right around back to school? Or now that we're in summer, is there a summer sale going on? Or what are the promotions, what are the activities that are happening throughout the year that could be great moments to increase the awareness of your particular brand? A marketing plan will include also the metrics that you're using to measure. Those are going to be derived from your goals, and the KPIs, which are your key product indicators. That's particularly important if we're doing digital media. So marketing plan, again, if you don't have one, spend the time to get one. It's really important. And then after you've spent some time figuring all of this out, putting it all on paper, we look at consistency. So the one thing that's going to make those brands that come from Japan that have lasted throughout centuries, or Levi's that's going into its 2nd century successful, is its consistency, is the brand's ability to carry that same message consistently throughout time, throughout all of the changes, throughout all of the decisions, through all of the cycles of the product that it's offering. Consistency means that you're paying attention to what you're saying, why it's being said, how you're saying it, to whom you're saying it, when it's being said, and where it's being said. So, very basic, who, what, when, where, why. And down here on the bottom, it just brings to highlight that a common pitfall of young brands is making inefficient or inadequate changes during the growth phase of their brand, inadvertently creating confusion in the marketplace and ultimately hurting the brand. So again, if we have the opportunity to put in place a piece of paper, a document that captures all of the essence of what the brand is, whenever there's any doubt as to what the next step should be, we can always go back and look at the marketing plan and figure out, does this fit in with our original objective or not? The marketing plan is the compass that keeps you on target for the long-term goals that you have established in your business plan. So these two support each other. In the business plan, you have where's the funding coming from, how are people getting paid, what's the measure of profits that you want to have for your business, and the marketing plan is the method that's going to make sure that it happens, that whatever you put in your business plan is actually happening in the marketplace. So consistency over time is extremely important. So in summary, to build a successful brand, there are several fundamental items that should be addressed. So you want to have a good logo. So I talked about it kind of briefly at the front. Your logo wants to pay attention to its colors, the font that is used, any shapes that are being included in it, and the catchy brand name. The brand name, I like some of the brand names that are out there that have like no connotation to them at all. It just means that you have to spend that much more time building up a connection or brand awareness between your customers and your brand name. So I'm not saying that you have to always choose a brand name that carries the name of whatever it is that you're doing. So you don't know, if you're doing ice cream, you don't always have to have ice cream in your brand name, although it helps. But if you don't use a very easy, recognizable connection between the brand name and the product or service that you're offering, then you have to spend that much more time building a connection so your customers know what it is that you do. The vision statement, very important. That's the overall. It's kind of like it's the reason that you got into business in the first place. Of course, we all know you all want to make money. I get that. But what made you choose this particular industry? So for some people, it's a passion that they have as a response to a need that they've experienced themselves. And that is one of the best reasons to get into business. And it could be just something else that inspires you. A mission statement is the activities. It's the tangibles. It's how you're achieving your vision. The brand definition is now we're getting into more detail. Now we're really defining the brand, all of the activities that it wants to do and that it doesn't want to do. The marketing plan keeps you on target. It says this is what we're doing now and why. And then consistency, of course, keeping it all level all the way through so that there's no big changes. Big changes in a brand makes confusion for customers. And like I said with the business plan, we just assume that there is one. So I am ready to take some questions if anybody has some, and I see something popped up here. So let's see. Ellie, should I just read it myself and answer the question?
Yeah, I'll read them out to you because I see a few have come in, and it might make it a little easier this way. I'm not sure if your camera came back on when we moved off the PowerPoint. You might want to check on that. Okay,
I'm working on
one of the questions.
I'm working on it. It's coming.
All right. One of the questions that came in was that designing a great logo and color scheme, from the beginning, is understandably important. But a lot of these new sort of 1-2-year-old companies don't have the money to hire expensive consultants and break the bank. So, what resources are available, this person wants to know, in getting these brand elements in place without spending big bucks?
That's a great question, and a very common question is, how do I get the talent that I need when I don't have the budget to buy what's out there? Well, there's a lot of creative ways. So I come from a service industry, and we did a lot of trading and bartering. So if you have a product, you might consider giving some of your product in exchange for services. If you can find somebody who's local, who's trying to build a name for themselves. One thing that I do like doing is there are tons of art students who would just absolutely love to get something in their portfolio. You can create a connection with some art schools like Savannah College of Art and Design. I'm in Atlanta, by the way. So you can actually go in as a business and request to work with a student. And you can get, it's free. And it goes into their portfolio, but you can get some really great talent at a fraction of the cost. So I have a lot of creativity, and I always try to find, having faced that challenge myself, what is the most creative way that I can come up with to get talent, to get the services and things that I need without breaking the bank. Another way of doing it is if you have the opportunity to create contests. If you're really, really tiny and you don't have a budget, do a contest and say, we're looking for great logos, and if we choose you, then we'll do a profile of you on our website. And so every artist needs exposure. So that's one way.
Yeah, that's great. Some other questions that came in. Any recommendations for a marketing plan template, or is there a go-to marketing plan template that you really like?
Oh goodness, actually, yeah, I did find a couple on the web. So you can Google marketing plan templates, or one that I found. If you want to just email me, you could do that too, and it's cjbarea@gmail. I can send you the one that I use, but there are plenty of them out there. The key points that you're looking for, though, are going to be specific to your industry. You definitely want to have an executive summary. You want to have a section at the beginning which talks about the goals that you're trying to achieve for the year. You want to have your brand definition, which talks about your demographics. So all of the critical points of marketing, the demographic and price points, et cetera, et cetera. And then after that, you can see how in-depth you want it to go.
That's great. And that point of finding something that's industry-specific, I think, is a critical point, right? One size doesn't necessarily fit all.
No.
Another question that came in was if you could speak to the importance of researching each of the elements in the developing your brand with your target audience rather than just getting reactions from family and friends.
I can't stress how important it is to do your market research before you begin your activities. So starting a business for yourself means that you are going to spend hours upon hours and hours of time thinking and making decisions and trying to figure out what's the next thing that you're going to do. You're going to invest your own personal resources because we all do it. And you're going to invest any funding that you get from outside sources as well. And you're going to make sacrifices in terms of where you're spending your personal time. So you might miss out on family events and you might be doing things. So if you're doing all of that and then you later on figure out that the market didn't want what you thought was a great idea, but your family was so supportive and they said, yeah, you should totally do it, then you're going to feel very frustrated. So market research, the best way to do it, make out a survey or create a sample of your product if you're doing a product, and go out there, go stand somewhere. Just ask somebody, can I stand in front of your store for a minute? I'm trying to do some research. I need to figure out if people like this or not. I mean, seriously, go out there and spend some time doing it because it's worth it to spend a whole Saturday for 8 hours out in the heat or in the cold doing some research and then to figure out if this is a good idea or not than to spend hours upon hours and hundreds of dollars in resources and sacrifice and then figure out this probably wasn't such a good idea.
Right, right. Another one that came in was, in terms of branding efforts, how to measure. So what metrics could someone use to gauge their success of their branding efforts?
Well, some of the most common metrics, of course, are going to be how many customers you have and what are your sales like, how many people recognize your brand. But if we're talking about online marketing, your KPIs or your indicators are going to be industry specific. So you'll look at things that are specific to your company. That's kind of a broad question, though.
Yeah. We hear the term brand equity. What does that mean, and does it matter for small businesses, or is that something that only matters to large corporations?
It absolutely matters, in my opinion, for everybody. Large corporations are probably going to have larger brand equity. So brand equity, what it means is how much value is in your brand in terms of how many people recognize your brand just from visual without being told who the brand is and what it does. Like Starbucks. Starbucks has incredible brand equity. I mean, you see the colors or you see something and you just know that it's Starbucks. That's incredible brand equity. So it's really important, but in the beginning, you're probably not going to have as much brand equity as you like. And so that's why it's important to have the marketing plan and the brand definition in place. So you know where you should be spending more time in communicating to the marketplace about your brand so that you can build that brand equity. If you're positioning your company for eventual sale, then the more brand equity you have, the better off you're going to be.
That's a good point. We often have business owners talk to us about eventual exit strategy, and right, brand equity would be part of that.
Yeah.
I see another one that came in. It says, what does it mean to tie my brand with my business model?
Okay, so business models can be a variety of different things. So it can be how you're engaging with the marketplace. So let's say, so you can have, if you're selling a product, let's start with products, they tend to be easier sometimes. Your business model can be direct to consumer at a point of sale. So you have a storefront, or you can be selling a product completely over the internet. So that's going to be a different business model. At least it's the way that I understand the definition of business model. It means how am I getting my product or service across to the customer, and how am I organizing my activities in terms of pricing and structuring revenue to for my particular business. And the question was, how does that tie into the marketing plan? Well, it totally ties into the marketing plan, because you have to have your business model in place first. You have to know how you are going to do business. Are you going to be an MLM? Are you encouraging other people to do business under you, or is your brand operating as the sole controller of the brand? Is it a franchise? What kind of business are we doing? Once we determine what kind of business model we want to have, then we work out the marketing plan to make it successful.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Christina. This was tremendously valuable. This was our highest attended webinar to date, and great participation from the audience with their questions. Also, the most questions we've received on them. So I think you hit this on the bullseye. So that's fantastic. So thank you very much,
Thank
Christina.
you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone who joined in on the call. We're here for you at businessadvising.org to support you in your small business needs. We have wonderful advisors like Christina throughout the country who are willing to work with you and support you. Wish you all the best in success as you continue to thrive. And our next webinar is August 28th. It's about controlling costs in restaurants and food businesses, so we hope you'll join us then. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.